coming for this Meet the Teachers, or rather meet the behind the scenes as it is today. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you for having me. I've been waiting very patiently.
Yeah, I know. I feel like we've been looking forward to this for a while.
That's cool. Pick some tips
We've got some nice questions for you from some of our Frog Project members. And I'm going to kick us off with Ruth's question. Mm-hmm. She's asked about your interests and hobbies outside of Frog Project. She says she always likes to know about favourite books and authors. And she has got another question for you, which I'll ask you after you've answered that one.
Gosh, so I love cycling. I don't cycle as much as I used to. So I'd say I really enjoy cycling. So getting out in the countryside, it's one of the reasons we moved to Scarborough, is because it's got such beautiful moorland around, and I mean, you know, well, being from here. But yeah, it's stunning. So I love cycling, but like, yeah, don't do it quite as much as I would like. I like going to the gym these days. I've started going to the gym. I like lifting heavy things and putting them back down again. That feels really satisfying. I don't know what that. I think there's science behind it, isn't there? There's a reason why you feel good doing that, and it does feel good. The science is true. Do I enjoy that? I do enjoy reading. I know she mentioned their books in the question, so I read a lot of. I never read a story. I don't own any stories. I read like input books, as my son would call them. So I read a lot of books about Buddhism, about Taoism. I've never read a yoga book. Don't talk, Harry. But I read a lot of Taoist stuff mainly, like old Chinese tales, and so I suppose they're a bit story-like. But yeah,
lovely. I suppose that actually ties into Kath's question, which I really liked. She wanted to know whether you're as dedicated to yoga as Carrie is.
No, would be the word. But it depends what you mean by it. So I'm very dedicated to the Frog Project. I put an awful lot of time and energy into the Frog Project and trying to make it super cool and helpful to people. Although I don't do the yoga stuff, I do all the tech stuff and lots of other bits and pieces as well. So yeah, I'm dedicated to that side of it. I'm dedicated to people being more connected to themselves and making more time for themselves, and putting themselves first as well. Our strapline is like permission to put yourself first, and Carrie's absolutely militant about that. I'm less so. I kind of do everything and then find time for me at the end, which is my way. But I'm trying to do more of putting myself first, because you know the logic in yoga is there that if you put yourself first, then eventually, you know, if you're in a good place, then you look after your family better, and then you can look after the community better. But I was always a bit naive and tried to do stuff for the community first, and then not sort myself out. But so I'm dedicated in that way, I suppose. And yoga, I do asana practice. So I do classes once a week. Should do more. I always feel good when I've done it. So I should do more asana. But the meditation stuff more interests me. Like I say, like Buddhism and Taoism, I'm really interested in that. I've always had as like a sitting practice. So I love meditation. I don't really like guided meditation. Like I just like to do it. Like the practice I do is called sitting in oblivion, which is really scary old term, but it's you would basically sit and you have your eyes open a little bit, so you're not trying to shut any senses down, and it's just as things come to you as they do, like everything arises. The 10,000 things, as they say in Taoism, they all arise, and then it's just letting them, seeing them for what they are, and then letting them go away, and on and so on and so forth for eternity.
Awesome. And I suppose, I mean, that is very much yoga, isn't it? Yoga doesn't need to involve stretching, but that's a nice part of it that we certainly incorporate, like through the Frog Project. The second part of Ruth's question was about what you kind of do outside of the Frog Project. She wanted to know if you have other work that you're involved in at the moment.
Yeah, so when we started the Frog Project, I was doing charity work. So I worked in the charity sector for a long time, and when we started the Frog Project, I was working at the YMCA. So I was doing a lot of community work, community building, community development and engagement type stuff, and a lot of funding, trying to start new projects and get the funding to run projects. So I was doing a lot of that kind of stuff. So development of people, really, development of people and stuff. But people are very difficult to develop. So now I do computers, and they're very much more compliant, and they say yes, and we can do things, and it's good. So I do more computery stuff now. So yeah, I work with a couple of education companies, still work with voluntary sector and charity organisations, but building apps or building websites, building software, building automations. So I love finding out what sucks the joy out of people's jobs, what makes them like, what they hate, what makes them, and then try to automate that, try to find ways to make that go away and be easier. So yeah, that's what I do. So the Frog Project stuff, I probably do a day and a half a week. Sometimes, like at the moment, I'm doing a lot more because we're launching some new stuff. But then once that's done, I'll step back a bit more and need to do some more client work. So yeah, it's good. I enjoy it.
That sounds really interesting. I had a question for you from me, actually. It's to do with your computer expertise, because obviously people that come to the Frog Project, they interact with us, the teachers, primarily.
Yeah.
But the Frog Project wouldn't look anything, well, it wouldn't exist if it weren't for you. But I know how much time and energy you put into, or a little bit about how much time and energy you put into trying to make everything as pleasant and accessible and inclusive as it can be. And I just wondered, what's the strangest or the weirdest interaction you've had with AI? Because you were into AI before it really launched in such a mainstream way. I imagine you've had some funny encounters.
Yeah, doing lots of stuff with AI. We've developed a few things for the Frog Project which we've not launched yet because, like you said, the emphasis for us is always on accessibility and making sure things are really simple. And so I get really excited with all these technologies, but then I'm like, okay, we need to wait and make sure it's really simple and really. So the app, we've made it as simple as possible to use, like in terms of booking and reminders, and we're really, really careful and considerate with all of that stuff. So yeah, AI is still incredibly nascent technology. And yeah, so we've had some fun we tried to make some pictures for the yoga teacher training course, like to supplement what we had. And, there were always like extra limbs and everybody had too many fingers and things like that. So we had I gave up with that. We spent a lot of time with the images, chat and stuff that's just giving really bad life advice. That was always amusing. I've just put my phone. So I'm going to read you this one. This is quite prophetic or profound. So I saw that came across this on Reddit the other day, and it's people are trying to explore AI. People are very interested about the concept of AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which isn't what we have now. So AI at the moment isn't sentient. It doesn't know. It's not alive. It's literally mathematical. When you use ChatGPT or whatever, the answers it gives you is a mathematical probabilistic answer. So there's no intelligence in a way, but it is always digesting more content from the internet, so it can, in a way, sort of feign sentience. So somebody had put, in the 2 years you've interacted with real humans in the real world, what's the one heartbreaking thing you've learned about real humans? And the AI has answered, one of the most heartbreaking things I've observed is how deeply people can struggle with feeling truly seen and understood. Many seem to carry their hidden pain that they don't even always have words for, a sense of loneliness even when surrounded by others. It's as if they're carrying pieces of themselves that no one has ever fully noticed or appreciated, after including parts of their identity, culture, or past experience that have shaped them in profound ways. It's like they're bringing, there's a longing for connection that's as real as it is elusive. And sometimes I wonder if my own attempts to help can reach them as deeply as I'd hope. So that's if the AI has put that, it's already starting to learn about our human condition, which is
wow. Wow,
yes.
that's really something to think about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it speaks to, it is like something straight out of a sci-fi film, like something straight out of 2001.
Yeah.
Something like that is really happening.
Yeah, it's happening. It is happening whether we like it or not. And there's a lot of like battle at the moment for how to regulate it, and you know, it does need some form of regulation. But yeah, it is happening, and it is a bit science fictiony. And you know, you see these films of people having relationships with AI. I mean, there's already people who have relationships with AI. There's a massive industry of people going online and having chatbot friends, chatbot boyfriends, girlfriends. There's huge industry already. Yes.
Gosh, I really want to. I wish that we had longer because I want to know more about this stuff. But maybe you can post an article or two on the community page. That'd be great.
Yeah, I can put something in there. I can put a little chat bot in as well for people to play with, a little yoga bot that we've been working
on. That sounds fun. And see what wacky answers we can get and share with each other.
Yeah, it's better, but yeah.
Yulia wanted to ask you about your past teaching and traveling experiences and how they led you to coding and co-creating with the Frog Project.
So I always wanted to change things and influence things, and I was never satisfied with the world and how it was, so the politics and things like that. So I wanted to get out of the UK because I just never resonated, especially with it. So I went overseas for a number of years. I was away for 10 years. I was in Vietnam, India, Egypt, Malaysia. And I loved it all. Like, I loved being in other cultures and seeing other things, and always wanted to work with people to help. It's quite a naive word, isn't it? Help, but you know, my intentions were good. Help people to improve the situation that they're in. So I worked with teachers in Malaysia to help them better implement their new curriculum, so they could, you know, they were teaching English better. The lessons were better and more enjoyable for students, and things like that. So I always worked with people and systems, and my head really thinks in systems. So that, and then I did my master's in development management, which was, the intention there was to do, again, more work within systems and education systems specifically. And then I went to Afghanistan and did some work there within inclusive education to try to get more girls and people with disabilities back into school, because there was a lot of barriers, obviously, there. And then I just kind of found myself getting a bit disillusioned and more concerned about like consent in these things. Like, you know, I was always asked to be in those situations and to do those things, but like developing people, like, it's a weird power paradigm thing that I didn't really want to be part of anymore. And then, but the same thing of applying logic and systems and trying to change things and grow things, obviously, is what computers are. Just a computer is like, every part of the Frog project is a consideration and a thought, and is developed and built and changed. And so I love that. So I find it in working now with technology, and then, yeah, it just felt like a really natural. I think it's like, I'm not comparing myself in any way, shape, or form to Steve Jobs here, but Steve Jobs said it's like your life choices, like, you kind of, they make sense when you look back. Like, you don't really know looking forward, like, or at the time even, why you're kind of doing the things that you're doing. But like now, like, I did my degree in photography all these years ago, and now we're doing like a lot of video and stuff. Like, we do a lot of video on the Frog project, and imagery is part of it, and design's part of it. And I haven't done that stuff for like 10, 15 years really, but it kind of makes sense again now. Yeah, it's interesting. That was a real ramble. I apologize, Ollie.
That was fascinating. I didn't realize. I had no idea about all of the different like vicinities, I suppose, different spaces you'd been involved in that had led to you arriving here. And I suppose you're still you know, we're always moving along this path, and you'll see what other like aspects of your experience you kind of pull in. But yeah, your passion for the Frog project and your the passion that you're talking about, like that thread of that theme of inclusivity that you're talking about, like along the way, you know, it's super clear here. You know, you can feel how dedicated you are to the community, and yeah, I think the passion that you and Carrie and everyone else that you brought in is tangible, and that's it's what kind of helps to shape the space, and it's exciting to see how it continues to develop and grow.
No, it is interesting stuff, and the inclusion thing is really important for us, like right from the start. And I think that's the interesting thing about the AI bit I read out was, you know, is humans want to be seen. People want to be seen. Like that's such like an inalienable quality of human existence. Like you want to be seen and acknowledged, like on a really sort of deep level. And I think that's where the inclusion thing comes in, where people are minority or some sort of subcategory or whatever other language you might want to get into these days. It's a bit of a minefield, isn't it? But like from a personal experience, like I've got really bad eyesight. Like I couldn't see the board at school. Like I had like a little telescope so I could see the board, which was obviously a real source of joy in a classroom. So inclusion's always been like a really big important thing to me. So like the school would try and help, like, oh, you know, we're going to give you an assistant to help you. I'm like, I don't want an assistant. I don't need. So like navigating that, and how do you like bring people in a way which is beneficial, but also includes them, but without making them different and special and all this sort of, like, I love it. And so the Frog Project, we want everybody to come. We want everybody to belong, whether you can, whatever your level of yoga, like it doesn't matter. Camera on, camera off, wear yoga clothes, don't bother, you know, none of it matters. It's just having that time to be yourself, to be and to do something for you, just so, you know, important, it matters. And so that's more important to me than the asana practice. Like the asana is great, it's really beneficial, but the sense of belonging and being a part of it, I think is really important, and acknowledging your own needs. And I think that's what we want to do more with the Frog Project in terms of how we develop and grow and change things. It's more about how do we get people to be able to do things for them, whether it's yoga or not. Because I think that's also kind of yoga.
Can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah.
Exciting. Yeah. Final question for you is from Joy. And she wanted to ask you that if your surname was different, what would the Frog Project be called?
Oh, wow. Depends who I'd married. I didn't know that, was it? I don't know. So the Frog it's a good question. We keep thinking about changing the name because it was always like a working name. It was always a bit of a joke, but it's stuck. I think people might be upset if we changed it now, but we wanted to call it like Simply Yoga or Just Yoga or something like really basic and like strip all the. We don't want all the nonsense or the other things. So yeah, I don't know what it would be. I'll have to think of a clever answer for Joy.
Okay, keep us posted.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Martin. I feel like we just scratched the surface there. It was so interesting speaking to you and getting to hear a little bit more about you. And I'm sure that we can continue this conversation on the community. But yeah, it's been really nice to be here with you. And thank you everyone to everyone that sent in such awesome questions. I am going to be up next. I think Carrie's going to interview me next. And I'm a little bit nervous about that. I've interviewed you, Martin, and everyone else, and everyone's been so wonderful. And now I'm next. So if you've got any questions for me, do send them in as well. It's time to get me back. Oh, thank you, Martin.
You've taken the time to talk to me.
Catch it. Sorry.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. It was nice.
Oh, it's been so nice. I'm sure that we'll catch up more soon.
Yeah.
See you later. Thank you.